Iran and Israel are fighting if you've been living under a rock. So what does this mean for your crypto bags? We're going to talk about it. And if you stay till the end, I'll tell you about a crypto airdrop that you might have qualified for. Let's just talk about the news. All right, these countries have been fighting. They've been at war for the last, since I've been alive, really. So they were dropping bombs on each other. And I'm not here to make, a claim about the war, who's right and who's wrong. I wish both sides would just stop bombing each other so our bags could go up. I wish they would stop bombing my portfolio value, as of course a lot of you do too. The cryptos were down over the weekend, and just today, cryptos spiked back up due to the fact that apparently Trump is said the country's negotiated to a ceasefire. Now I've been hearing, well, Israel snuck some bombs in there right before the ceasefire. Maybe they broke the rules. I don't know, but the market's reacting positively to the ceasefire news, and it just goes to show you how fickle this market currently is. It's annoying. Okay, everybody wishes it was more predictable, but we're living in what's called a kangaroo market, and I'm going to explain the definition of a kangaroo. It's not a bull or a bear. Yes, you've probably seen this on the headlines, like Fox News, whatever, if you watch mainstream media, if you like getting lied to on the mainstream media. But as we can see, the price of everything kind of jumped. The Strait of Hormuz, the place where all the oil goes through, that was shut off, and then somehow oil went down. When you would think, oh, if supply goes down, demand must go up, or price must go up. Well, no. Oil went down, stocks went up, Bitcoin went up, and let's take a look at the markets. Look at this. In 24 hours that has just passed, Bitcoin's up 4%, Ethereum is up almost 9%. And Ethereum is what I've got my eye on, especially when it comes to PulseChain. If you're new to the channel, if you're new to crypto, you should know my favorite ecosystem. It's the PulseChain network. And if you like and subscribe, you're going to get very familiar with PulseChain and why I'm so bullish. But just look at the markets in general, okay? Green numbers for the most part. What does that go to show you? A lot of people might tell you in the mainstream that crypto is decorrelated or that it's somehow digital gold. It kind of is in a way, but it doesn't behave like gold. It doesn't behave as a safe haven asset. It's not decorrelated. It's not safe haven. So what is it? Well, it's a risk on asset, we call it. Risk on just means when people are ready to take risk, they'll buy stuff like crypto. So we're not at the stage of maturity with crypto clearly where crypto gets to be called a decorrelated asset, which was always the narrative, and newbies might think that is the narrative. It's not for now. Okay, at least for the near term future. If there's geopolitical uncertainty, people are dropping bombs on each other, it's going to hurt your bags. And like we've seen, even Elon and Trump fighting apparently drops the price of everything like 10%. So we're in a fickle market. People are highly emotional. And I think the crypto market responds to everything even more emotionally and even more quickly because they get the news first. These crypto junkies out there basically react to everything, and it trades 24/7. So there's no, traditional financial markets to wake up to and make trades based on whatever you wake up to. So it seems kind of fair to say, if you want a nice word to help describe what we're going through, a kangaroo market, which is a word to describe a financial market, especially for stocks or crypto, that moves unpredictably up and down over a long period without a clear trend in either direction. So look, if Trump and Elon beefing online is going to cause the same percentage drop as bombs in the Middle East, clearly this market is very scared, very immature, and just hyper emotional. Things are flipping from fear to greed. Expect more of this because this is what we've had for the past 2 years at least, right? Short rallies, sudden dips. Seems that we have the inability to sustain a long uptrend. A lot of cryptos are still down. Even Ethereum, PulseChain's wrecked, 80% down from entry level prices. Ethereum's still down 50% from its all-time high 4 years ago. 4 years ago. Okay, now Bitcoin's at an all-time high, but it's only maybe a 2x from its previous high, maybe a 1.5. Bitcoin's done well, and we're going to explain why I think Ethereum is following the exact same structure. So stay with me here. Okay, kangaroo market. You get the idea? Short-term rallies, quick reversals, range-bound prices, mixed sentiment, both bulls and bears getting wrecked, and extreme volatility. I like to think it's a kangaroo jumping up a hill, which I stole from my friend Dollar Cost Crypto. A kangaroo slowly jumping up a hill. Hopefully we land on our feet higher than, when the dust all clears. But we've got macro uncertainty. The Fed is very reluctant to lower interest rates. That's why Trump is calling him names like a child, of course. But he wants to be the guy known for the economy doing well. And he understands the game, just like all of you watching understand the game. The Federal Reserve is the money printer, and when they lower interest rates, money is easier to get. It's a very simple concept. And now that the rest of the world kind of understands the game, Jerome Powell, he's having a harder time hiding it, coming up with verbiage to cover up why he's not doing it. Inflation's been down below 3% and actually below 2% for like 4 months in a row. So he could lower the rates at any time. Now, I think it's only a matter of time. This summer, at some point, we'll see a rate cut. We'll see markets get more bullish. But right now, everyone's lacking conviction. You see that on Twitter. If you just scroll through Twitter, don't do this too long, okay? But for 5 or 10 minutes, you scroll through Twitter, lots of pain, lots of depression, cope, anger, a lot of anger, finger pointing, rotating narratives, AI 1 week, Fed fear the next week. This week it's bombs. Which again, I wish it all would stop. It's very sad. But just like next week, what is it going to be? And the lack of liquidity. Now, crypto's low liquidity, which means more amplified moves to the downside and the upside, which is why you're here, because you know that you can make more money with these amplified moves to the upside. Crypto is almost like leverage on the stock market. And we've got real world examples. I guess ChatGPT is calling the current time that we're in, 24 to 25, a real world example of a kangaroo market. How to survive it. Avoid over trading. Avoid trading in general. Buy and hold, okay? Just go long. Forget about it. Focus on the fundamentals. Consider range trading. Just don't do that. ChatGPT, shame on you. You can't believe everything AI is telling you, okay? AI does hallucinate. Use automation or bots. Also incredibly dangerous if you don't know what you're doing. Stay hedged and diversified. If you're getting your financial advice from ChatGPT, you might have other problems. But I agree, just avoid over trading and don't let these day-to-day volatilities shake you out. Because the market's choppy, but in the long run, it's always going to end up higher. Just look at the stock market. Look at every asset ever over the past 200 years. Or as long as you have price history for, it's up and to the right in the long run. Okay? Delayed gratification is what works. Like, I hope the ceasefire is real. I hope nobody breaks the rules. Time will tell. But speaking of the news, okay, I want to give you guys a little look into a news article that I think sums up this idea that I want to convey, which is that you should be skeptical of every single news article you read, every single person that you see. Everyone's got an angle, everyone's got a spin, and especially mainstream media, Associated Press, okay? Associated Press wrote an article about looking at all the major players in the crypto industry and their ties to Trump. And I just want to expose kind of the negative framing that you're going to read if you're only reading headlines. So if you're following me, if you're following some other people in the crypto ecosystem, I don't know who's really talking about this concept, but hopefully you're getting your information from real people without huge financial motives to frame everything so negatively, especially in an anti-Trump sense. And I'm not trying to be a Trump apologist here. Okay, I'm not saying he's a perfect hero, but I just found this crypto article funny because a lot of crypto people, they were pro-Trump because Trump promised, and I think he's delivered on a lot of those promises to make crypto a safe place to be. A lot of us, myself included, were harassed and persecuted by the SEC unnecessarily, and three-letter agencies were trying to take our freedoms away. Crypto brings power back to the people, so don't let them tell you that all these crypto guys are nefarious. You could even see in the title, their ties to Trump, almost as if, oh, they're secretly tied and there's some hidden agenda conspiracy. Everybody's got ties to everybody. All right, my tie to Trump is that I have to read his tweets online all the time. Okay, I guess I'm tied to him in that way. But look at this, okay? They go over all of the top, and these guys have questionable levels of legitimacy. Okay, sure. But they go over 5 guys that, in my opinion, did a lot of work in the crypto space to advance it. They left out Richard Hart, but one day he'll probably be in there. Justin Sun, okay, this guy created the Tron blockchain. He brought tons of stablecoins on chain. It's a very popular chain in the East, okay, in Asia, from what I hear. And this is a pretty significant accomplishment. It's got the most USDT out of any chain, billions of dollars of USDT stablecoins are on chain because of this guy. Now, he's also a crazy crypto guy, he's like the president of some small micronation called Liberland. And there's all kinds of things you could say about him. But check this out. He is the founder of platform Tron, which I just mentioned. But then it goes on to say he is best known for buying a piece of art consisting of a banana taped to a wall for 6.2 million and subsequently eating the banana. So this is the mindless crap that people care about. All right, you might know him as the banana guy. Never mind, the Tron blockchain. He's the banana guy because they think you're dumb, right? They basically hate you. They think you're an idiot. So they're trying to simplify and give you the flashy headline of, look at how frivolous this rich guy is. He bought a banana for 6.2 million. It's called marketing. Richard Hart bought a diamond for 2.1 million. It's called the Hex.com diamond. It's the world's largest diamond. Rich people do eccentric stuff, and it's all for publicity. And their ties to Trump. Oh, he was the top investor in Trump's meme coin that scored him a spot at the crypto dinner. Okay. People in power generally want to schmooze with each other. I don't think there's like some evil conspiracy. It's pretty simple to see that Justin Sun just kind of wants to rub shoulders with Trump. And so how do you do that if you're a millionaire? Well, I guess you could just buy a lot of the Trump's meme coin to get a spot at the dinner. It's not like they're planning world domination over here, guys. Um, and I don't think the article is being overly negative, but I do think this article tries to pin crypto as some frivolous, kind of sketchy thing. I mean, this guy who wrote this, he's just trying to get the clicks, okay? He's probably not a bad guy. Everybody just wants to hijack your emotions. And let's just go over what do they say about Michael Saylor? Okay. I'm just as annoyed as you are about people talking about Michael Saylor. I'm just as annoyed. I don't like every day you wake up, there's a headline, oh, Michael Saylor bought billions of more of Bitcoin. Great. You know, it's like the only headline. This guy's pumping all the Bitcoin guys' bags, so everyone loves him. I really don't care too much about him. He's a Bitcoin bull. I think maybe strategy, his company will implode one day. It's a dangerous strategy to just base your entire company's valuation on turbo buying Bitcoin even at the tops with a not too great of a cost basis. But that's not what they talk about, is it? Of course not. So the Trump media team, I guess the tie they're trying to make is that Truth Social now wants to raise 2.5 billion to buy its own Bitcoin reserve. So of course they're going to talk to the guy that started the trend of Bitcoin reserves. Never mind that there's like 10 other companies doing this and more every day. It's going to become so common for companies to invest in Bitcoin just to get it on their balance sheet. Okay, it already is. So, I don't know, Saylor meeting with Eric Trump at Mar-a-Lago. This isn't really big news to me. Okay, if you want to do something in crypto, if you want to invest in Bitcoin, you're probably going to want to meet with the guy that's known for investing in Bitcoin. Now, this one's pretty benign, so maybe I'm reading into this, but I just always assume everyone's trying to paint the worst possible picture that they can. And I'm trying to give you a crypto insider's opinion, you know, more neutral opinion, nuanced opinion about all these individuals. CZ, Changpeng Zhao. Okay, this guy founded the biggest centralized crypto exchange in the world. I think it's really the biggest in like Asia and the East. You know, Coinbase is in the West. Yeah, all right. Former CEO of Binance. This guy went to jail for 4 months. Okay, the iconic 4 photo. You might have seen it. What did he go to jail for? Their company did not implement KYC AML policies for like 4 months. There was a 4-month gap in which anti-money laundering policies were not on Binance when it was operating in the USA. But of course, they're going to hit you with the headlines of he was sentenced to 4 months in prison for failing to stop criminals from using the platform connected to sex abuse, drug trafficking, and terrorism. So you just see these words next to this guy's face, and what most people think is, oh, this guy, drug trafficker. Not true at all, okay? What happened is that his exchange wasn't mandating KYC information, which doesn't even really protect from things like drug trafficking and terrorism and sex abuse, okay? A lot of centralized exchanges that were collecting KYC information, well, a lot of money was laundered through there too. Okay, it's not like you can just stop it by creating a honeypot of people's data, which that's all that KYC ends up being, right? You collect everyone's data, the data gets stolen, and the drug traffickers keep finding a new way to traffic drugs. And never mind the fact that 99% of illicit finance is in the US dollar, real dollars. Okay, crypto accounts for maybe 1, maybe now 2 or 3% of illicit finance worldwide. That's not what Elizabeth Warren is going to tell you, but that's how it is. And the tie to Trump is that WLFI announced that the UAE investment fund would be purchasing a stake in Binance. Okay, companies acquire other pieces of companies all the time. This isn't some grand conspiracy. I just want you to understand that. You know, Trump's not in this dark room with all these guys at a round table figuring out how to take over the world. In fact, those rooms probably happen with the owners of companies like Associated Press, but I digress. Brian Armstrong, the co-founder and CEO of Coinbase. This guy, I mean, he's done a lot for crypto. He's introduced a lot of people on board to crypto. I've purchased crypto through Coinbase before, you know? A lot of people have the app on their phone, Coinbase. You should make an account if you don't already. The ties to Trump, I was wondering how they were going to try to frame this guy as like some never-do-well. He met with Trump at the election day, and he donated to the political campaign. All right, people lobby. And what do you think someone's going to lobby for? The guy that wants to ruin and destroy your business? AKA the existing establishment at the time was making it very hard for crypto to do business in the USA because they didn't even make any rules. Or the guy that is at least going to change the status quo. We can't be sure that he's going to make all the right choices, but he's at least going to do something different than what we have today. Of course, you're going to donate to the guy that says he's pro-crypto when the other candidate doesn't even talk about crypto or doesn't even really, you know, that's all in the past. People donate to whatever serves their interests. Not surprising. And in the future, I would expect this guy to donate to whatever candidates are more friendly to crypto regulation. Makes it easier to do business, which I'm generally a fan of because I understand, like most of you watching, that crypto is good for the world. When you have free, open, borderless, peer-to-peer money, it puts the power back in the people's hands. You become your own bank. And so this guy that's giving you the opportunity to buy crypto and get it into your own wallet, he's not the bad guy. All right. Winklevoss twins, meh. I guess the point that I'm trying to make here is these guys aren't evil or they're not saints either. Okay. But they're not evil and they're not in some grand conspiracy. Now, they're not saints. Tyler and Cameron Winklevoss. They sued Mark Zuckerberg. Mark Zuckerberg stole their idea. Okay. They look like Ivy League bros, bunch of chads. I don't find them too relatable personally, but they've done a lot for the crypto space. They started an exchange called Gemini, and they got sued for selling unregistered securities. Okay. Another case that's been paused since Trump took office. That's because all those cases were, for the most part, BS. And the ties to Trump is okay, they donated to Trump's campaign. They donated to Trump's campaign. Of course, it's not like surprising to hear that people, whose business and livelihood depends on the government not destroying them are going to donate to the thing that doesn't destroy them. David Bailey, I actually had never heard of this guy. We don't really even need to talk about him. I just wanted to tell you guys, be careful what you read out there, and be careful of the negative frame of everything. All you really need to know, guys, all you really need to know, is there geopolitical uncertainty? Yes. Does the establishment still hate Trump, and are they trying to craft an anti-crypto narrative? Some people are. Some people will be. But look what's happening. Look what Blackrock is doing. Blackrock is the world's largest asset manager, okay? They own more assets, and they manage more assets than anybody else in the world. BlackRock, okay? And what are they doing? Well, everybody's scared about Ethereum. Well, just yesterday, they bought 45,000 Ethereum. Actually, this is all of the ETFs put together. BlackRock bought 27,000 Ethereum. What is that in USD? $60 million. $25 million BlackRock, $60 million Fidelity, $100 million total. What's the total amount of inflows coming into the Ethereum ETFs? $4 billion. Okay, institutions have scooped up $4 billion while everybody else is crying about Trump and the institutions are buying your blood. They're drinking your tears, okay? So do follow the money when it comes to Ethereum. I'm still bullish. And look at what this exact same setup did to Bitcoin. Bitcoin went from 15K to 115K, maybe 110. What happened there? Was it retail buying? No, not really. Now, retail is now buying the ETFs, but ETFs are exchange traded funds, okay? These are like stocks. So ETHW, you see all these ticker symbols up here? If you don't know what ETFs are, they're like stocks that represent an underlying asset. So now you can buy Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs like stocks on the stock market if you want to get exposure to the price of the underlying Bitcoin and Ethereum. So what these companies do is they buy big bags of the coin itself and they mint, shares, ETF shares to trade on traditional markets. And that's where the boomers are at. That's where the guys with all the big money are at. Institutions, have a much easier time, at least for now, buying stocks or buying equities than buying actual crypto, which you should be buying actual crypto. You should probably not be buying if you're a retail person like me. You're probably not going to want to buy the ETFs. Always just hold the coins. Buy the coins on an exchange. Hold them in your own wallet. It's way more opportunity, way more freedom. But these big numbers, these big green numbers, okay, this $4 billion means that all these institutions, Grayscale, BlackRock, Fidelity, they've bought $4 billion of Ethereum and they just sit on it. They own like 6% of all of the Bitcoin supply. That's more than anybody else in the world. I think BlackRock owns, 3% of all the Ethereum in the world. Okay, that's a huge number when you consider that most of it's lost as well. A lot of it is lost, and a lot of it's not liquid on the market for sale. So owning 3% is actually very huge. It makes you very influential. They own 3.3 million ETH. BlackRock does. All the other ETF players are buying, okay? Inflows are exceeding outflows. And, we've got net buy pressure. Now, the thing about these buys is that they're not made on the open market. A lot of them are made with private OTC deals with what's called APs, what it's called, special people that are qualified to sell big institutions their Ethereum off of the public markets. So one, they don't push the price up against themselves. Two, they have more privacy. They don't cause massive FOMO buying. Because if this money market bought on, let's say, Uniswap, or even Binance, or Coinbase, we would see massive FOMO, but they're not ready for that yet. The institutions are not ready to FOMO you in. And when they are, they're going to dangle that carrot on the stick. They control the media. Like what they did to Bitcoin, okay? They're coming around to it. They were calling Bitcoin rat poison. Now it's like the safe thing to do to have maybe 1 or 2%. I saw one company, I forgot who it was, that's now recommending 7%. I think it was the Spanish government. 7% is like the ideal number of Bitcoin to have in your portfolio. And wait till they tell you about Ethereum. Wouldn't it be nice if somebody was telling you about the new stuff before it hit the mainstream? PulseChain, by the way, pulsechain.com. But this 4 billion is not moving the price up because it's done off market. That's all I'm saying. It's done OTC, and when the time is right, they will step on the gas. And they're also going to have staking ETFs, which are yield bearing, ETFs that generate interest. Okay. When those come out, when those get approved, then your mom and dad, grandma, grandpa start to hear about Ethereum and Bitcoin on the news more, which they already are. But on CNBC, right? You're going to have Jim Cramer running around telling people to go buy Ethereum. Actually, when that happens, it's all over. But you know what I mean, guys. It's only a matter of time. The institutional sentiment has had a huge divergence from retail sentiment. And I want to expose that. That's what's really happening. There's fear, there's skepticism, there's Iran-Israel tensions, there's look at all these corrupt politicians, blah, blah, blah. There's always going to be news. But look at the numbers, look at where the money's flowing, and we're going to be okay. That's why I'm betting on Ethereum. I'm betting heavily on PulseChain, which I believe will outperform even Ethereum, at least for a short time, at least for maybe a 6-month to 8-month window. And that's what I'm doing it for. That's why I'm holding through these long, prolonged, multi-year dips. It's all for that maybe half of a year of glory. But you only need to be right once, and delayed gratification will pay off. That's what I believe. That's what I know is true based on my personal experience. When you look at lower liquidity things like PulseChain, hyper low liquidity by design, and you look at something like a Solana player that's got $8 billion in liquidity, and PulseChain has like 6 million on the buy side, 6 million. So if even $100 million, like 1/80th of the liquidity on Solana flowed into PulseChain, when the markets heat back up, then we're looking at potential 100x on the table. Ethereum, potential 10x from here, yes, actually. Maybe more like a 7x, 6x, but $20,000 Ethereum is not impossible. We just have to wait. Look what's really going on. Don't get shaken out by the day-to-day. And thank you for staying till the end, because you now get to know about this airdrop that I talked about. If you held DAI stablecoin, look, this is the founder. This is Richard Hart, founder of PulseChain. Shout out to Mr. Hart. Thank you for mentioning this, because turns out I personally had a little bit of money just from holding DAI stablecoin on a certain snapshot date. If you're already in crypto and if you were holding DAI stablecoin on the Ethereum network on a certain date, go to this link right here. Link will be in the description below, but this is the link. app.spark.fi/SPK. You might have some free SPK tokens waiting for you. Let's take a look at those SPK tokens, see how much they're worth. Spark tokens, 4.2 cents today. So enjoy. Enjoy your free money if you got any. Am I going to sell this? Am I going to hold it? The prices are honestly so wrecked, I might just hold on to it. But do make sure that you claim it if you have it before July 29th. The initials on July 29th, okay? And there's going to be another one too on August 12th. So for stablecoin holders, DAI stablecoin holders, you might have some free money. That's why you like and subscribe, share the video, leave a comment, and if you want to learn in depth about crypto, if you're brand new to crypto, check out hexpassiveincome.com. I've just added some great new tutorials about stablecoins, taking profit, using things like liquid loans, using like pooled staking to generate 12, 13% APY on your Pulse. All these advanced strategies, it'll take you from zero to hero. If you know nothing about crypto, all the terminology, all the mindset, all the security, what to click on, what to bookmark, it's going to make you a lot more confident in doing crypto the right way. How to get a wallet. All the stuff that I wish I knew that would have saved me thousands of dollars and hundreds of hours of times and saving me from mistakes that I would have otherwise made. So check out hexpassiveincome.com. There's temporarily a 25% off coupon. If you're brand new to crypto, make sure to get that. I'll see you on the next video.